Have you ever looked back and felt a deep ache for all the years you spent with someone who only made your world smaller? It's a story I hear almost daily. People wrestling with the weight of time lost, trapped in relationships where love was confused with sacrifice and their light slowly faded to keep someone else warm. Maybe your regret isn't about a partner. Sometimes it's a friendship that chipped away at your confidence, a job that drained your joy, or even a city that never felt like home, even though you tried so hard to belong. The ache is real. How did I lose so much of myself? And for so long? That's the silent language of regret, a voice inside that wonders, what if I hadn't stayed? What would I be today? If you could change just one thing about your life right now, what would it be? Over the last decade, I've sat with countless stories woven with regret. I wish I'd left sooner. I wasted the best years of my life. I gave up on myself to keep the peace. Sometimes it's a job or a city. But most of all, regret is about love, the way we abandon bits of ourselves for the sake of connection, and realize it only when our own roots have twisted too tightly to breathe. What's most striking? Most regrets aren't rooted in the past, they're reliving in the present, the feeling that something inside us is still missing, waiting, or unheard. So, let's explore the most common regrets people carry. Along the way, you'll discover the single most important lesson, the path to finally stop abandoning yourself, even when connection is all you ever wanted. The cost of staying where you aren't happy. One of the deepest regrets I see isn't tied to one event or person. It's the slow ache of years spent where your spirit couldn't grow. Stuck in jobs that empty you out, friendships where you always had to prove yourself, or relationships where comfort masked quiet suffering. The regret of staying where you aren't happy. It's like watering a plant in a pot too small. It survives, but its roots twist around themselves, and it never truly blooms. We convince ourselves it's safer to stay, only to look back and realize time has flown, and the world we accepted was so much smaller than the one we could have claimed. What are the small ways right now that you might be choosing comfort over possibility? Imagine what would happen if you gave yourself a chance to replant. Would you dare? Wasted time versus rediscovered self for many. It's not just the pain. It's the years that seem forever lost. Decades with the wrong person. A career that felt like quicksand, pouring your energy into something that drained you dry. Regret here acts like a ghost on your pillow at night, whispering, your best years are gone. But here is what is quietly miraculous. Clients who leave a bad situation often discover joy isn't locked in the past. It is waiting on the other side of self-choosing. Even if you're scared, even if you feel late, choosing yourself makes space for new dreams to root and blossom. There's grief, yes, for time lost. But there's also hope. In little pleasures you rediscover, in anticipation that you can rewrite, not relive, your story, starting today. Self-abandonment, the pain of letting yourself down. Sometimes the sharpest regret isn't what others did to us, but what we did to ourselves, saying yes when our soul said no. The moments we didn't speak up, the dreams we placed on a distant shelf, the ways we set our own needs on fire just to keep someone else warm. These aren't headline regrets. They're the quiet aches. Anxiety that lingers, fatigue that doesn't go away, bitterness that sours even sweet moments. The question beneath it all, why did I keep giving when it was never really safe for me? Healing begins, always, with gentleness, forgiving the parts of us that were too scared or tired to choose something different. What's one need, however small, you haven't honored lately? The lie of sacrifice, love. A haunting regret, believing the path to love is self-erasure. People share stories of quitting passions, silencing their laughter, outgrowing hobbies and friendships, all to hold on to a relationship. Yet every time, the math never adds up. Compromising your core never brings you closer, only emptier. Here's the breakthrough so many finally reach. Healthy love grows you, not shrinks you. It invites your quirks, honors your needs, and lets you breathe. Connection meant to last never asks you to go missing inside your own life. What would it look like to let yourself take up space? What's something quirky, tender, or true about you that deserves to fill the room today? If you recognize yourself in any of these stories, know this channel is your safe place to heal, question, and rediscover yourself. Subscribe, and let your voice be part of this community journey. You're not doing this alone, and sometimes the smallest share can spark someone else's turning point. The power of small joys. One of my favorite moments, after people finally let go, is hearing about the tiny freedoms they rediscover. The joy of eating what you want, listening to your music out loud, sleeping on your favorite side of the bed. No need to tiptoe, explain, or apologize. Ask yourself, what simple pleasure did you let slip away just to keep the peace? Maybe it's reading before bed, dancing alone in the kitchen, or saying no when it matters. Reclaiming these joys is how we call our spirit home. Small joys are the breadcrumbs on the path back to yourself. They seem simple, but they carry a message. You are allowed, truly allowed, to be whole. Facing the grief and allowing yourself to rebuild freedom comes with a shadow. Grief for what was lost, and for the you who endured so much. Sometimes rebuilding feels exhausting. New routines, new boundaries, even new laughter. The ache may surprise you in quiet moments. Here's the miracle. I've seen people of every age believing it was too late for joy or love, only to be astonished by what happens when they choose themselves again. Healing doesn't erase old pain, but it plants wildflowers in the cracks. If you're here now, be gentle with your grief. You are not just leaving someone or somewhere. You're releasing the myth that being loved is about vanishing. How to recognize and say yes to a healthy relationship. So many regrets come from never knowing what real connection looks like. After years putting others first, you might forget. In good company, you feel like more of yourself. Never less. Real love wants you big. Friendship celebrates your weirdness. The right community makes you less lonely, even inside your own skin. Ask, does this relationship make you shrink or expand? Do you feel safer to be true, to be loud, to be silent, to dream? Healthy connection is freedom with roots. And here is the quiet, profound truth. It always begins with you. The moment you refuse to abandon yourself, every other relationship gets a chance to be real. That's the compass home. Regret is a story everyone has told themselves, but you can decide when the old ending stops running your life. Maybe you can go back, but your next honest yes can light up every year to come. So let me ask, if you could start from where you are, what's one thing, one need, one boundary, one dream you'd reclaim tonight? Your future self is quietly rooting for you to begin. What is a regret you were ready to let go, and a tiny joy you were finally ready to say yes to, starting now? Share your story in the comments. You never know who's reading and needs to know they're not alone. And if lately you've felt the need to quietly slip away from the noise, just to finally hear your own voice again, the next video might be the gentle invitation you've been waiting for. Dare to disappear for a moment, rediscover yourself, and watch how solitude can become your most surprising ally. Your next chapter can begin today.